Morning. So I've finished a couple of uploads to the Google Drive. These are free add-ons to Football Time Complete version of Football Time, or any version of Football Time, including Big Country Time, Sports version, or the free Football Time that's floating around out there. These are CFL rule add-ons. So I did a couple of things. One, I've already provided this free a while back, the quick football field. You print this out, and you can move your, put your dime at the first down marker, your penny for the football, and move it around the field. That's the American field. The Canadian field is here as well, with a 55, what's called center line, or center, the center. So you got the larger Canadian field, so you'll need those. If you're using the Big Country Canadian football game, or the Big Country Football or Football Time Complete, which is a full simulator, you're going to need one of these fields, whether you're playing American football or Canadian football. Okay, this I put back up. I had removed this because it was obviously no longer a part of any of the versions of the books. But then I had somebody who had seen the video and said they wanted this chart for their version, which they had purchased. I had forgotten that it wasn't in the modern version, or it wasn't in the most current version. So I put this back up. This is just how a team scores. So in Football Time, or Big Country Football Time Sports, Big Country Time Sports book, this used to be a page in the back of the book, and you would roll to see 3 dice 6 to see how your team scored its touchdown. So that's back here for those who care. It's just a detail. You don't need it, it's just a detail. Also, I think it had the things for your player paradigm of how to advance your players' rosters on your players' careers on your rosters, and it also had a score per quarter trial run here. Obviously, in the Football Time Complete, it has its own score per quarter chart. But anyway, I put that back up because I'd forgotten that those things were out there, and they should be out there, especially if you're using your fictional team roster management in the off season. This is a great thing. I should have left this in the latest version of the book, but I didn't want to overburden people thinking they had to do complete rosters of players for football, because this is really for football, but you could use this for hockey or basketball, any of the sports that are in the book when you have rosters. Okay, long story short, yesterday, of course, I was able in the last couple of weeks to complete the Boxing Time actual historic boxers. Again, these are all boxers that fought that would have been live during the 46, 47, 48, 49, and even more. Some would have started in the 30s and it boxed up to the 50s. Some of these guys boxed up to the 60s. But the point is, they would have been active during Big Country boxing's era, right? For the Big Country book. So these are all the boxers in these weight classes that are real historic boxers that would have been actually boxing during that period. So when you make a boxer in your world, you can run into any of these boxers in your career. Okay, so that's just for fun. Plus, you can just fight them if you want to. But this morning, I finished the Canadian add-on. So I've talked about the Canadian football game in the past, and I think it's one of the greatest football sports in the world. I enjoy it. I enjoy its rules and its style of play more than the American game. Again, for those who don't know, though, I have an addiction. I have, football is my passion in life. It's the sole thing that I've dedicated most of my life to, whether it was coaching, playing, studying, tabletop, video games, PC. I don't care. I'm a football freak. So when I say that, the Canadian game, remember, I've got American football in my DNA, in my blood. So it's nigh impossible for me to say I would choose the Canadian game over the American game. But I think the Canadian game is far more strategically and tactically interesting. Okay. I think it's a fantastic sport. The point is, I wanted to also, because I'm going to be using Football Time Complete to finish my 2025 Canadian play along, So I thought I needed to also make sure I had accurate charts, not snap to snap charts, but special teams charts for the Canadian game. So I went ahead and made an add-on for those of you who want to play the Canadian version of Football Time Complete. So first off, I identify Canadian rules that you really need to know if you want to try the Canadian game. So I identify these are real rules, right? The field is 110 yards long. You get 3 downs to convert 10 yards. There's 1 yard neutral zone at the line of scrimmage. The defense must line up a complete yard off the football. This is huge. This is another reason why the tactics and strategy can be so much more compelling in pro. You think, oh my God, you only get 3 yards. You're going to throw all the time. Well, you are, but boy, that 1 yard neutral zone is a enticing carrot to run the ball, to keep the defense honest, and I love that. So anyway, kickoffs are from the 30-yard line. Touchdown is 6 points. Extra points are 1 point. 2-point conversions can be taken from the 3-yard line. Field goals are 3 points. Safeties are 2 points. A rouge or a single is a 1 point awarded to any team for any field goal attempt or punt not returned out of an end zone by the defense. So if you miss the field goal and the defense fails to get the ball out of the end zone, that you can score. Or if you miss a field goal and kick it through the end zone, you score a point. So anytime you kick a field goal, you're damn near going to score at least 1 point if you miss, especially if you're kicking a short field goal. So it's a pretty cool rule. I think this should be adopted by the NFL, no doubt. They never will because again, the NFL is getting less inclined to special teams at all. I'm surprised they punt or kick at all in the NFL anymore. Just give them the ball at 30, let them play offense and defense. I think that's the future of pro football. Is they're terrified of guys playing. It's part of my problem with American football is they are trying to make it as easy on coaches and as easy on players as possible. Sorry, but I believe that's a fact. End zones are 20 yards deep, so this is why you must return punts and field goals from your end zones. They're huge end zones. Post-successful field goal or rouge, the receiving team may select to either kick it off themselves, which again you would never see. Most teams aren't going to kick the ball away, but you never know. But you can take the ball at the 30. You can get the ball kicked to you at the 30, or you can actually select to take the ball at your own 40. So these, again, make for coaching decisions, which we've eliminated from the American game. We try to make it as easy on our coaches as possible. Don't make them make these tough decisions or these interesting decisions. And so I got to give the Canadian, this is what I like about the Canadian game. Coaches have options and teams have options for good or ill, and I like that. Post safety, the team that scored the safety can take the ball at their own 40, or they can accept a kickoff from the enemy who gave up the safety from the 20-yard line. Goalposts are at the goal line. There are no fair catches. All punts, kicks, and field goals must be returned. Overtime, each team gets possession at the opponent's 35-yard line and must go for 2 points after any score. After 2 possessions, the game is declared a draw. That would be, I get the ball, I score, you get the ball, you score, I get the ball, I fail to score, you get the ball, you fail to score, and that we call it a draw, right? But in postseason, they'll continue playing until the winner is declared. Special rules for use for Football Time Complete Edition. And this is the book that is available on Lulu in both paperback and spiral bound. Also, it's the book I've been waiting for almost 2 months now to get here from Lulu. Again, I'm freaking irritated. It better show up in this week or I'm going to lose my nut with Lulu. Anyway, these are rules that pertain directly to the game. Each team will use a special team chart for kickoff distance, punt distance, kick returns, punt returns, blocks, interception returns. All run results in the full simulation need to add 1 yard to the result to simulate the CFL's 1 yard neutral zone. So if you roll a run 2 on your when you're playing the full simulation, that would be a run 3. If you roll a run -1, that would be a run for nowhere. If you roll a 1 for 16, that would be a run for 17 yards. So you just get to add 1 to all runs, right? That's a simple tweak to account for the 1 yard neutral zone. Use of the 110-yard field, of course, because you're playing the Canadian game. All created teams either get a grade bonus to their offensive rating or must reduce their defensive grade by 1 to simulate the point production for the CFL football. No team can be an F offense in the CFL, but a game grade can be an F value for a game. So in other words, when you create your teams for CFL play, you're going to give you can give a team, when you roll them up, you can give a bonus to their offense, or you have to reduce their defense by 1. So if I roll up my team and I roll an A offense, well, I can't improve their offense to an AA or an A plus. And let's say I roll a C defense, I have to reduce their defense to a D, right? And what that's going to do is create higher scoring games as the CFL scores more points, period, almost by 10, almost by 8, almost a touchdown, almost 8 or 9 point difference in total points in the CFL. So this will create more offense, both yardage and points in your simulations. Okay, now I have a live special teams chart for CFL action. We do not use a live special teams chart for the American game. Okay, the CFL game is so dynamic in its size, its field size, its field length, and what they demand of you as a team to make decisions to punt or kick, and you must return all punts. It's a very fast, very live game. So I wanted the special teams in the Canadian version to be live. So you kick it off from the 30, and this will tell you how far you kick it off. So you can kick it off. The average in the CFL is, I think, 63.7 or something. So teams are fielding the ball at the 13-yard line on average on kickoffs. So that's pretty cool. Punts are on average about 8 yards further in the Canadian game. I don't know why. I assume because you don't have to, in the Canadian game, because you have a 20-yard end zone and you want to kick the ball into the end zone, force the team to return it, you don't have to coffin corner. So what really wrecks the average for punters in American football is they have to try to pin the ball, and things like that. Well, in the Canadian game, there's nothing to stop you from punting the hell out of the ball. So the point is, you have to punt the ball. So there's an average punt. Kick returns, the average kick return from where you field the ball on a kickoff. The average punt return or rouge return. So if this is being returned from in the end zone, you'll use this for punt and field goal returns. Block returns, when a ball is successfully blocked, this will be how far the ball travels backward from the line of scrimmage as recovered by the enemy. We do not roll for recovery. So in football time, when a fumble happens, it's a fumble. You don't roll to see who recovers it. If a fumble comes up on the charts, it is fumbled away to the enemy. Same here. If there's a block, it's going to be assumed recovered by the defense. Okay. Interception return, this is a net. So you don't roll for how far the pick and how far the return. You roll to see the net line of scrimmage change. So let's say we throw an interception and I roll a 2. It'll be 25 yards downfield. That's where the new line of scrimmage will be for the enemy. Right, and if this happens to be in the end zone, you can down it in Canadian football. You don't have to return interceptions out of the end zone, but you do have to return all kicks. So if it's a minus 15, that would be backward from the line of scrimmage, assuming the ball was picked off and returned a particular distance. We don't know exactly how far. If you see an asterisk, if there's an asterisk on returns, that means there's a chance to return it for a touchdown. If you see a double asterisk, that means there's a chance to block the kick, right? So a punt can be blocked on a 12. A kick return can be returned for a touchdown chance on a 12. A punt or rouge return for a chance at a touchdown on a 3 roll. And then you have to confirm it with a second 2d6 roll. Okay, so here's your live special teams action chart. And then we have a slightly different player distribution matrix for the Canadian add-on, because in the pro game we have halfback, fullback, split end, tight end, flanker. We have, so because Canadian football doesn't necessarily have tight ends per se or fullbacks per se, they have their quarterback, they have their top runner, their second runner, they have their a crew of receivers. And so instead of trying to identify them as actual positions, we're going to identify them as the top back, the second back, the quarterback, the top receiver, the second receiver, third, fourth, etc. And then sacks, we're going to have defensive linemen, linebackers, and DB, safety. So this hasn't changed a lot except for the allocation to the player. So when there's a sack or a tackle for loss, and you just want to find out who, you can roll the die and find out that one of your defensive linemen has made this sack or tackle for loss. Who you want that to be, that's your business. When you make rosters, you can weight sacks, fumble recoveries, and interception rates for your players. You can weight your own carries, etc. Right? That's up to you. But you can use this when there's a touchdown scored. You can roll this to see who scored the rushing touchdown, who caught the touchdown, or just if you want to know who's catching making runs and catching passes. It's right here. In my game, it's a completely automated solitaire game, so you don't call a pass and who's getting it and run the ball and roll the dice. You roll and it tells you it's a run or a pass. So my games are 100% solitaire. You just roll the dice and get the result. So this helps you decide who's running the ball, who's receiving the ball, etc. And then this is just a legend, what all this on the chart means. And then, of course, all Football Time Complete rules, team creation, scoring charts, and full simulation charts are used as normal, except with the above exceptions, which would be these. And, of course, the above exceptions to the rules, which is adding a yard to the runs and making sure when you create teams, you give an offensive rating a bonus, or you reduce the defense. So that's how that works. And there you have it, folks. This has just been finished this morning. So again, I will put a link to this this particular folder where you can get these two fields. You can get the original BCF Football Time add-on. This is old, but it's still valuable to many people, it sounds like. The new Historical Boxers for Boxing Time, and the new Football Time Complete add-on. Okay, thanks for watching. Everybody have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.